All right, so this is the summary for week 10. So let's kind of remind ourselves about a couple of things. Your test is on, let's see, Wednesday, March 29th. So right here, you'll see the study guide for test 3. So that's not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. So just make sure you're looking at these problems that are on that study guide, and also there are some sample questions from test 3 and 4 from last semester. Um, Notice 4 through 11 and then 1 through 2. But remember, make sure you're looking at these problems here, because there are some of these problems that were not on these tests that may be on yours. Okay? So make sure you're definitely looking at this study guide and then using the sample test or these tests from last semester. But these are the problems that you're required to know. All right, and then let's see, a couple of other things. New Alta assignments. So just a reminder, there are about a handful, maybe 5 people that still do not have 100% on section 2.4 and properties of polynomials. Notice the deadline is the 21st, so that's Tuesday. So those 5 of you, you have until Tuesday to try to improve your score on these 2 new and alter assignments. Let's see, section 9.1, that's due on the 19th, so that's due today. Section 9.1, so which means that at midnight, around midnight, the scores from section 9.1 will be sent to Canvas, but I'll give an extra week to improve your score. So this is not an absolute deadline. This is just that after tonight, this is the date, so the 19th, so you have until tonight to work on 9.1 before the noon alta is sent to your Canvas grades. Okay, so then let's see. Okay, so now let's talk about week 10. So in week 10, so we only have, after this week, there's only about 5 weeks of school left, not including spring break, but 5 weeks of classes. All right, so we don't have much longer left, but what I want to remind you is that from week 9, tomorrow morning, these keys will be posted. So the keys from the keys that were due today, the worksheets that were due today. So these 4 right here will be posted tomorrow morning. Let's go to the agenda for this week to see what you're going to learn this week. What we're going to do this week, though, you'll notice that the topics that are in this agenda are not on test 3. They'll be on test 4. But these topics will not be on test 3. These are the non-graded worksheets. They're already posted, so make sure you utilize them. And then these are the keys to the graded worksheets. They'll be posted Monday, not tomorrow, but the following Monday. So let's go ahead and look at the agenda to see what we're going to do this week. So remember last week we started talking about the algebra function. So that's where we added 2 functions, subtracted, multiplied, divide. We're going to continue talking about that. So there's some topics on algebra functions. There's some more here that we're going to look at. Then on Tuesday, you're going to learn the idea of the composition of functions. So composition of functions is where you take one function and put it inside of another. That's different than this one. So you're going to see the difference. So there is a difference between the algebra functions and composition of functions. Both of these will be on test number 4. So test number 4, you're going to have composition of functions and the algebra functions. It's not difficult. It's very simple to deal with. You just got to make sure you're practicing on these worksheets and you're looking at the keys to those worksheets. Then on Thursday, we're going to continue talking about composition of functions, but this time, though, it's going to be in terms of tables and ordered pairs. So you're going to see in class Wednesday what that looks like. So I'll do an example on composition of functions where you're utilizing tables and ordered pairs. There is a graded assignment on that. So just make sure for test number 4, you are studying this worksheet because there will be a problem on utilizing tables and ordered pairs with composition of functions. Now, what I want to mention at this point is this, what I'll mention at this point is that, see this right here? So on Newton Alta, there is a set of problems that deals with composition of function, but in terms of graphs. So I have some videos here that discusses that part of Newton Alta. We're not going to do this in class. I'm not going to put composition of function with regards to graphs on test number 4. It's not on the final exam, but it is in Newton Alta. So when you get to Newton Alta for section 3.4, and I'm going to assign that at the end of next week, when you get to that, and you get to the part where you're looking at graphs with respect to composition of functions, just make sure you come back to this link right here to look at the videos that go with it. So when you click on it, just to show you, you'll see there's the notes in the video that go with it. Just make sure you're using that when you're evaluating composite functions where you're given the graphs of functions. And then finally, we're going to start talking about inverse functions. So that is Friday. So inverse functions. So we're going to need the idea of inverse functions part A, and inverse functions part B. You're going to need that idea when we get into logarithms and exponentials. So when we get into logarithms and exponentials, the idea of inverse functions will become important. And then we're going to start inverse functions this week, and then we'll finish inverse functions the following week. Okay, so I believe that is all I wanted to look at in terms of this week. Let me just quickly go through this again. So we talked about the study guide. We talked about your test coming up. We talked about Newton Alta assignments, and we talked about this week's agenda. Okay, so I believe that's it. So I will see you on Wednesday. Have a great beginning of the week. Now make sure you're starting Monday. You start to look. You're beginning to look at week 10 agenda. Don't wait until Wednesday to follow along what I'm doing. You need to be looking at this on a daily basis, especially your Newton Alta assignments. Okay, so I'm going to end this, and I'll see you on Wednesday.